Hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to FanZcene. Greg here, and today after you, I watched the first 5 Final Destination movies. Now, before we get into this, I do want to say I have up until this point, I had only ever seen Final Destination 1 and Final Destination 2. I had never seen 3, 4, or 5. So, I was trying to think of a title for this because I had seen the first two, but I had never seen the other three. And with the new one coming out, Final Destination Bloodlines, it kind of got me into wanting to see these movies again, or at least to watch the first two and then get into the other ones and everything. So I'm going to go over over these movies, these 5 movies and everything. So there will be spoilers. So I want anybody to beware who's never seen them. There will be spoilers for the movies because I need to be able to talk about these movies, and there's spoilers. So I got to be able to give my opinions on everything. So if you've never seen them, turn away now. Come back and watch the video when you're done. Or if you don't care about spoilers, keep watching. But yeah, so with the new one coming out and everything, and I decided I wanted to go through and watch these. Now, the juxt of these movies, like all these movies, is that the basic plot for each movie is somebody has a vision of death, of the first movie is a plane crash, the second movie is logs falling off the back of a truck and causing a massive car wreck and killing a bunch of people, the third movie is a roller coaster disaster, the fourth movie is a NASCAR disaster, and the fifth movie is a bridge collapse. And with each of these movies, the main protagonist has a vision of this utter catastrophe that does all these and ends up, when he snap out of the vision, ends up saving a group of people from the accident. And then throughout each movie, death itself, the supernatural entity of death, stalks these characters because they've subverted death's design. So they were supposed to die in accidents, they were dying, and so now death is coming to them and taking them out one by one, right? So these are pretty cool, slick horror movies and everything like that. And so I've always loved the first one. I remember, I was a teenager when the first one came out, so I mean, in all right spots, with horror and everything. And it stars Devon Sawa, which you guys may know from Casper, Idle Hands, and stuff like that. So he has a vision of a plane crash and he saves a group of people and death comes after him and everything, which I always thought the first one was really great. And the first one was actually written to and intended to be an X-Files episode, right? It was written to be an X-Files episode, but the writer Jeffrey Reddick, he really liked the script, and somebody told him he should turn it into a movie, and so he had friends at New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema, by the way, I love that. And he got it made, and he made Final Destination. There was some changes and stuff, like they originally were supposed to be adults in the movie, but thanks to Scream, they made them teenagers. And there's two characters, one played by Daniel Roebuck. Shout out to him, he's a great actor. Who were FBI characters in the first movie, which you can really tell were like, yeah, they were supposed to be Mulder and Scully investigating this situation, and it feels like it. And then, of course, Tony Todd appears in, I want to say, 3 of the 5 of them, with a voiceover in the third one. And now Tony Todd's character first appears in the first one as a coroner, and he's this very weird, mysterious coroner. And in my opinion, as the movies progress, Tony Todd's character is, if he's not death himself, because he feels like he could himself be death, and or he's a servant of death, or he's possibly even the devil. But he does give him a helping advice in each one, but that helping advice never seems to work. But the first one I think is a horror classic. It helped pull out some of the slasher genre and stuff. It was something different, a little different. I love the characters in that and the story in that, and Ali Larter is in that as well too, and Sean William Scott Stifler's in it. So the first one is great. It's Devon Sawa's character has a thing of the plane crash, and then it's also like, how do you deal with death? Because like after the catastrophe happens and he sees it and everybody starts getting weirded out by him, the survivors, how do they deal with that? How do they deal with death? And then how they deal now with this death stalking them. So I really enjoyed that about the first movie. Now, the second movie, like I said, I've seen before, but this time around on my rewatch, I found myself not liking it as much as I did the first time around. I know a lot of people have a fondness for the second movie. I don't know the full fan base for Final Destination because, like I said, I only seen the first two. But I know a lot of people like the log scene with the car, logs falling off in the car crash and everything. But I was watching that one, which I did have fun with it. I did like it, but I didn't like it as much as the first movie, and I didn't like it as much as I remembered. I felt the characters were very generic in that. This time we have, is their name AJ Cook, or I want to say AJ Cook or CJ Cook. AJ Cook is the main character. This one, she has a vision on the highway and the logs and everything, and she saves a group of people, and then death comes after them. And then with the second one, what I really didn't like about it is they started to make the rules of death complicated. Because like in the first one, it's set up. You set up the rules. They were all sitting in a certain seat on the plane, and death was coming to them in the order that they were supposed to die. In the second one, they start going in reverse, and the characters don't feel very good. They feel very generic. Outside of actually AJ Cook, Ali Larter, who comes back from the first movie, and Michael Lands, who is like the cop. So like they feel fine, but the rest of the characters and everything just feel generic. And I'm not a big fan of like the visions. Like in the first movie, he's Devon Sawa's character sort of alerted to each death is coming. He doesn't have like a psychic vision, but like there's certain things that happen around him, which they sort of do that in the second movie with certain things, but also like the lead character starts having like other visions outside of the vision in the beginning, like psychic visions of what's going to happen and everything. And by the time it gets to the end of the movie, I really felt like Ali Lauder's character, who was a survivor from the first movie, is mistreated in her death. And the whole point, like the AJ Cook character keeps seeing this van crashing in the water and somebody drowning, and they tell them, "Oh, from death, life is born, and that's how you stop this." And like I said, they try to overcomplicate the rules. And then she's like, "I know how to save us." Like, who the hell are you going to save? There's only two people left. What's the point? At that point. So it was kind of frustrating to watch the second one. I don't, and Tony Todd's appearance in the second movie as Corner is very weird, very out of place. It ends abruptly with a weird cut, and it doesn't make sense, and it feels like it was shoehorned in there. Yeah, I could say I liked the first one really, really good. The second one I thought was a little bit of a letdown after I rewatched it. But it's still a fun movie to watch and everything. And then we'll move on to the third movie here. The third movie I really, really enjoyed. I couldn't believe it. Like I said, I had never seen the third movie. I am one of those people who's super scared of roller coasters. So, like, if you get on a roller coaster, you go, "What happens if this thing starts sliding off or it gets stuck upside down and you fall out?" Which is all that happens in the beginning of the movie, right? So, and this one stars. I know her name, Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Ryan Merriman, who, she's Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, sees the roller coaster crash and everything, and she saved, a bunch of people get saved and stuff. And this one I really like because the James Wong, who directed the first one, and Glenn Morgan, who helped Jeffrey Reddick rewrite the script for the first movie, they come back and write the third movie and direct it, and James Wong directs the third movie. So it really feels like a sequel to the first movie. And these characters I felt in the third movie really felt like horror movie characters. They had a purpose. Like one of the things I didn't like in the second movie as I was rewatching it is because nobody really deals with death in that. Like in the first movie, when the plane crash happens, it's like a month later, everybody's dealing with it. In the second movie, once everybody's saved, it's like immediately boom, boom, boom. Nobody deals with death. Nobody really cares. And some of the deaths in the second movie feel like they could have been a bit avoided. Like she has a vision of pigeons, and she's got to warn not to mess with the pigeons. She shows up and says, "Hey, pigeons," and the kid brushes the pigeons away to get killed. It's kind of like, whoa, that's how you're going to try. Yeah, I did like that in the second movie. But in the third movie, these felt like characters, and I really appreciate them. And I really enjoyed the two the hot girls. They were really great. They were funny. They were hot. Plus, you get to see a little boobage in it from them, which was great. I really enjoyed those characters. But each of these characters didn't feel like generic. They felt like they have a purpose. And after the roller coaster, there's time in between where each person deals with death. And the Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character doesn't have supernatural psychic visions like the second girl. So, she sort of has she takes pictures of each person at the carnival, and like in each picture gives them a hint to how that person is going to die. Right. So I liked that. I like that because she's looking at them. You got to figure out through the picture how to help save these people. And like the rules are back to the normal of the first movie. Like if you save one, it skips that person and goes to the next person, but death will come back around to get you. So I really like that. And I really like the characters, and it was fun. It felt like a true horror movie sequel. And Tony Todd this time is like the roller coaster has a big like devil outside of it and everything, and you hear his voice because it's saying ride the roller, it's death, and so that's why I feel like he's either death himself, a servant of death, or possibly the devil, because you hear his voice. And you also hear his voice at the end of the movie when they're on a train in New York. He's the guy, announcing the train stops and everything. So he's definitely somehow involved in that. So he's not in the movie, and his character doesn't feel shoehorned in that, but his voice, you hear his voice, and it fits. And one of the clever things they did in the third movie is at the end of the movie when you think they're saved and it's down to the final three, which that's pretty cool. They saved a little more this time. She has another vision of a train, a subway, accident, and then she snaps out of it, and you're like, oh boy, and that's how it starts to happen, and then like how they go to save each other, and that's where it ends. I really like that. I really like that in that movie. And then we move on to the fourth movie. The fourth movie absolutely sucked. I mean, did I have some fun with it? Yes, but it was a bad movie. And what I was looking on that movie, the fourth movie, is actually directed by the same director of the second movie, David R. Ellis, and written by one of the co-writers of the second movie, Eric Brees. And and some of the flaws that I had with the second movie are amplified up to 100th degree. Plus, this 3D gimmick had just started, so like they're using the 3D gimmick out their butts in this movie. The characters are pointless. The NASCAR scene in the beginning with the crash, everything is cool, but it feels very mean spirited. And once again, we're back to having psychic visions. The main character is a man this time. I don't even know his name. There's a bunch of actors that I'm less familiar with than in the first three movies. But like he has the vision of the accident, they save people, and it feels very mean spirited. Once again, they don't deal with death. It's like once it happens, it keeps happening real quick, and then it's like they don't care that somebody dies. And when he has his psychic visions, their 3D CGI looks horrible, looks absolutely horrible, and coming to the screen. And it's just, I did not like the fourth movie. The characters felt shallow, a little mean. None of them are very likable outside of Bubba Gump, who's in the movie. He's pretty decent. And once again, they try to mess with the rules again. So it really feels like when James Wong, Jeffrey Reddick, and Glenn Morgan are involved, these movies really have a plot and cohesiveness and deals with death as people do, you know. And then when it's David R. Ellis and Eric Brees, it feels like the death is an afterthought, just for fodder, for horror movie fodder. It feels like generic, you know, when people say, hey, these characters are just, I don't like these movies because they're just characters dying to die for die. That's what the fourth one really feels like. With the second one, Jeffrey Reddick was still a little bit involved, so I give it credit because it's still a fun watch, even though I didn't find it as good as I once did. But the fourth one, just absolutely stupid. And then they try to use what they did in the third movie with the second vision, but instead of using it at the end as like a surprise, they do it halfway through the movie, and it's like, really, you're just doing that. And then it's just stupid. It just fourth one, the less said about it, the better. And then we move on to the fifth one, and this will be some major spoilers for the fifth one. Let you know, I really, really enjoyed the fifth one. Now, Jeffrey Reddick, Glenn Morgan, James Wong doesn't come back for this one. I think probably because James Wong ended up directing the Dragon Ball movie, and it flopped really bad. That's why he didn't do the fourth one. So they probably do it. And now the fifth one I think was kind of a makeup, even though the fourth one sadly is the highest grossing of the movies, but it's also, I think it's considered the worst. I know I thought it was worse, but the fifth one is really, really great with the Nicholas D'Augusto, Emma Bell from The Walking Dead, and Frozen, the Adam Green Frozen movie, and Miles Fisher. I mean, this one has a really great cast. David Koechner's in it. Really great cast. And the biggest opening stunt scene with the bridge collapse, which is incredible. The bridge collapse is incredible, scary, insane. Nicholas D'Augusto's character sees that, and he saves people. And this one, it feels very much like the original. Tony Todd is back in it, and his character does not feel forced in it like he did in the second one. He is the coroner in New York, because once again, this takes place in New York, and there's lots of nods to the other movies in this, if you've seen all of them, but you really don't have to have seen all the other movies outside of the first movie. Yeah, at least I've seen the first movie. You don't have to have seen a lot of, but it does pays a lot of nods and respect to the other movies and everything. So this has a great cast. It's a little more darker. It's not as comedic, but there is comedy in it to help lighten it up, and it has really great characters. And with this one, it moves along after the bridge collapse. So each person back to following the rules. It really feels like the people that made this one, which was directed by Stephen Quill and written by Eric Hessler, I think his name is. It really feels like these respected the movies, understood the movies, got the things. Really enjoyed the first three, because I would say like the first three are like the face. Even though I had a little problems with the second one rewatching it, the first three are the basis for these movies. The fifth one is just horrible. So this one was really great, but with this one, the death stalks them and everything, and it feels so much like the way a sequel should be. Like 1, 3, and 5 feel like sequels to each other. 1, 3, and 5 feel like sequels to each other, and 2 and 4 feel like sequels to each other, right? So that's what it feels like. But 5 is great, and it has a really great twist in it, because each death is like, and I didn't even talk about it, but each death in the movies are very creative and very fun. With I think 1, 3, and 5, and 2, yeah, 2 as well, having the best death scenes. But the biggest twist here, spoiler, once again, is at the end of the fifth movie. Because you don't know it till you get to the end of the fifth movie. The two main characters, Nicholas D'Augusto and Emma Bell, get on a plane, and it just so happens to be the plane from the first movie, and you find out the fifth movie is actually a prequel, and it makes these movies a complete circle, which is why I'm worried about Final Destination Bloodlines, because 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, for better or worse, with their good and bad, it feels like a complete circle of movies, and it should have just ended there. So like when he's on the plane and he hears the song and stuff, like, with the death, because it feels like the first movie, and then he looks over and you see Devon Sawa's character and what's his name, Kerr. I can't remember his first name, but Kerr Smith is there, and they're fighting, and it's the scene from the first movie when they're being pulled off the plane because he's had the vision, and then this one is like, it's so good, but like everybody dies, which makes it a complete full circle. So I really, really enjoyed uh, the fifth Final Destination. So I'm really glad to actually have these in my collection. I've had this Blu-ray set for a while. I kind of wish I had a better cover insert here. I may have to get one made, because this is the poster art for part 4. I don't like that. But yeah, this is the poster art for part 4. So I was really happy to have this. And I typically don't rank movies, but I'm going to go ahead and rank these, because I would say, as from my favorite to my least favorite, I'm going to go 1, 3, 5, 2, and 4. That's my thoughts. But what are your guys' thoughts on the 5 Final Destination movies? And are you excited for Final Destination Bloodlines? What's your favorite Final Destination? Seriously, and they don't have to match mine. You don't have to agree with me. Leave all that in the comment section down below. And if you liked what you saw here, maybe consider hitting that like button or subscribing, hitting the bell for notifications. That'd be awesome to earn your guys' subscriptions, or possibly share the video out for everybody to see, or join and become a channel member, because that would help out my channel immensely. Thank you, and shout out to all my channel members. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys for being channel members here, and for all of your support. To everybody watching, whether you like me, hated me, or liked this video, or hated this video, I thank you for sticking this long, because this video did go on a little longer than I anticipated. Wherever y'all are, please have a great, safe, happy, healthy day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Always support physical media, because it really truly is the superior format now more than ever. Godspeed, and be careful out there.